G'day guys, Solgasp here bringing you round 2 of the Power Auras guides. Now we're getting a little bit further into the detail that you'll go into setting up Power Auras, but what I'm going to show you today, which is tracking buffs and debuffs, is probably the most common use for Power Auras at the moment. So without further ado, we're going to have a look at how to set up buffs and debuffs to make sure you're tracking. And the most common cause of this is for any talents, weapon procs even, or weapon enchantments, trinket procs, so anything like that. Now I'm not going to run too much into detail about setting up, positioning, all that, because if you watched my previous video then you pretty much will know all these parameters down here, kind of what they mean, that kind of thing. So I'm not going to go into detail there. So first up, we're going to track the trinket. Now the trinket we're going to look at is Heroic Heart of Rage. So the first step with anything that you're tracking is to make sure you are aware of the buff or debuff name. So for example, we're going to whack on this dummy quickly and force a trinket proc. So as you can see, the trinket procs happened and the buff name is called Rage Heart. So obviously if we back up a bit, open powers, we have a look at my debuff for Rage Heart, and you put the buff name in there so we know it's Rage Heart, chuck it in there. You just simply go down into the parameters section and just go through each one. So obviously we know we want it only showing in combat, and you don't need to worry about cast by me or anything because no one else can cast this similar buff on you, so there's no point worrying about that. So with that all ticked, as you can see, it works like a charm. Next example I'm going to show you is the Titanic Power. So if we have a look at the apparatus of Kazgoroth, you can see it stacks up to 5 times. So there you have a look. I will wait until I get the full 5 stacks. If you have a look up in the top right hand corner, you can see I've got 1 stack at the moment and then nothing's showing up or anything. So as I do more, you can see 2 stacks now, and there we go. As you can see now that it's up to 5, I've got the power to set it up. So it's the same idea. If we go into this, again we know that the buff name is Titanic Power, so we put Titanic Power in here, and then you just simply put equals 5. Now as you can see, it gives you examples of how you can do it. So greater than 5 refers to anything less than 5 as the stacks. You can read through it. So an example where you can use this is for Maelstrom weapon on enhanced shamans. If you really hate the Blizzard default one of showing you when you get Maelstrom weapon at 5 stacks, here's an example. You just get the buff name, stacks equal to 5, and you can position your own little power wherever you want it. And again, just go through the parameters. It's fairly simple. Set up your in combat, things like that. Now to touch on debuffs, and it's pretty much the same idea. This particular guide will be fairly short because it's an easy concept to grasp once you kind of understand all the nooks and crannies behind the different parameters and how to set them up. So with the debuffs, you again want to first up know what the debuff name is. So if we attack it on the target, you look down here, obviously Narcotic Strike is just simply called Narcotic Strike, so that's the debuff name. And because of that, you chuck the debuff name in there. You don't need to worry about stacks, and again you just go through all the parameters. So first up, in combat is a pretty standard one that you'll be ticking. Here's an example where you want to tick cast by me, because obviously if you've got multiple Death Knights around, you want to only be tracking your own Aquatic Strike. And likewise on enemy target, you're obviously not tracking the debuff on yourself, so make sure you tick enemy target and it will track it on your enemy target and not you. So here I am on my Warlock, and you hear a lot of people that download particular additional add-ons to help them track their own debuffs and track their own dots on a particular target, especially for dot heavy classes, for example Shadow Priests and definitely Affliction Warlocks or Warlocks in general. Anything with a lot of dots that you want to track, generally you see people get Sexy cooldowns, or Sexy cooldown I think it's called, is a pretty popular one off the top of my head. But here's an example where you can use this idea of the tracking debuffs with powers to set up your own kind of debuff and dot tracking. So as you can see here, I'm going to chuck my 3 dots on, and as you can see, Corruption, I can track that. It's got a nice timer, and Immolation as well as Cursed or Hand of Exhaustion, sorry, Bane of Agony, that's the one. Don't know where I got Hand of Exhaustion from. Thinking of a little pally there, but yeah, as you can see, powers it's that diverse that you can use it for additional stuff, not just tracking buffs in that sense, but you can use it for things like a method of tracking your dots on a particular target. And also you can, as you can see here, I'm chucking dots up again, you can also use it to track raid-wide buffs that you want to make sure are up, for example the cursive elements. And I'm going to run you through a little idea behind the cursive elements while my pet finishes this bad boy off. With the cursive elements, as you saw with the other ones, for example, I'll bring up corruption quickly. You can see I put as cast by me, in combat, and enemy target, so that makes sure it's tracking on my enemy target, and it ignores all other warlock dots. It's only cast by me. With the cursive elements, for example, I untick the cast by me because obviously as long as one person has that debuff up, then you're good to go. And keep in mind as well, there are additional debuffs that do similar effects. So if we have a look at the cursive elements, and as you can see, it increases the magic damage taken by the target that you apply on by 8%. So keep in mind you can actually do the dash and added an additional spell in there. So keep in mind you can use this idea for all the other spells that other classes have, so as long as some form of 8% increased magic damage is affecting the target you're targeting on. So for example, assassination rogues, they have the Master Poisoner, and it again increases all magic damage or spell damage taken by 8%. So it's a similar buff. So let's just say it's called Master Poisoner. You can chuck in that Master Poisoner in there as well to make sure as long as that 8% debuff is on from whether it's you or the rogue or whatever other classes have that similar debuff, it'll show up, and then as soon as it drops it'll disappear, so you know that you need to reapply your own version of that debuff, which is for example for warlocks, cursive elements obviously. Finally, to wrap it up, I wanted to touch briefly on the idea of this together to the top thing and this real movement on YouTube. And I don't know, it's really inspired me to kind of help the community in general. What I have been doing each day when I get home from work and that is I've just been going through all my subscription people, and any new videos I see I've just going in, immediately liking and favoriting and commenting on it. And I guess response in general, I have to say a huge thank you to a lot of people that have been whispering me or hitting me up with private messages on YouTube saying, hey, you know, thanks for the support, I returned it to you, that kind of thing. And it's really good. I am very happy with I guess the fact that a lot of more popular people, I know Thien, all credit to him, he definitely started this crazy movement for YouTube, and it's nice to see the more popular people getting on board. You know, like realistically they've got everything set up, you know, their YouTube subscribers are ridiculously massive, so they don't even need to worry about, you know, helping other people if they didn't want to. But it's nice to know that most of the people seem to be getting on board, even the popular people like Swifty and stuff like that. So it's really good. I'm quite enjoying it. And with that in mind, you know, if you've got your own channel that you're struggling on getting views and people to kind of look at it, let me know. A lot of people have been hitting me up with private messages at the moment, so keep that coming. I definitely will help you guys out, and if you feel free to help me out as well, tell people about my channel, that kind of thing. But pretty much, I mean, getting into the habit of just coming home each day and making sure I go through all the new videos and immediately liking, favoriting and commenting on it. Cheers guys, this has been a brief guide and just a quick chat about the T×4 movement. And yeah, keep an eye on the channel. I'll be pumping out the next video for Power Auras, which is going to look at the action usable and how to really use that as a form of tracking when to hit what ability, that kind of thing.